Do you have raccoons or other nuisance wildlife living underneath your deck or shed? Have you heard growling or scratching or visibly seen these animals burrowing underneath these structures? I'm Trapper Tony, and I've been doing wildlife exclusion for over 14 years. Today, I'm going to teach you how to keep them out for good, safely, and humanely. I've seen all the little tricks that they try. I know their behaviors and the way they operate. In this video, I'm going to go over how to identify a problem, some DIY methods you can try, how to do it safely, what the pros do here at Pest Protection Plus, and how to eventually keep them out for good. Stick around to the end of the video where I show you our gold standard. Signs you may have some nuisance wildlife taking up residency underneath your porch, deck, or shed. For starters, when you wake up in the morning, these nocturnal animals have done damage to your lawn, garden beds. You may see droppings, damage to the property, scratching, growling, tipped over garbage cans, or even actually burrowed out areas where soil's been remediated. The animals can burrow and dig right underneath these structures. Any of these signs equals active issues with wildlife on your property. Now, when it comes to isolating the main entry point, we want to think like an animal. How would an animal act if it's on your home or property? If I'm completing the inspection on your property, or you at home are doing the same thing, think about these small animals and their nature and habits. For starters, these animals will always walk around the perimeters for safety and security purposes. They're avoiding any threats from predators or you yourselves, the homeowners, or any pets that may be on the property. It's a hot day outside. We're looking for an area out of the elements. So we'll burrow underneath any deck or shed where it's warm, dry, and cool, where we know we can relax, keeping an eye on the main entry point from any prey, staying underneath, raising our young, or just sleeping there, residing underneath these structures. Bonus points if they isolate any insulation where they can manipulate this material to create a nice cozy denning site. Now that we've isolated the main entry point, it's pretty obvious. There's been earth or soil or any material substrate being undermined or moved from underneath this structure. We can clearly see where an animal is dipping underneath, coming and going from. This is our main entry point. This is the area we want to focus on. Now, before we bust out the shovel to dig a trench all around the structure, I'm going to give you some DIY options that most homeowners will give a try before proceeding further. We want to play on the senses of the animals. Now, for sound, we can utilize an object like a radio to constantly play music or loud noises to help evict these animals from the area in question. Now, when it comes to smell, we can use urine, especially predator urine. A coyote is a natural predator to most nuisance wild animals in our backyards. We can utilize the urine to help create fear and help these animals, or almost force them, to evacuate the area in question. You can also use products like bleach or ammonia where that strong odor is present and they don't want to live or reside underneath your deck or shed. Now, when it comes to touch, raccoons especially have very sensitive paws. We can utilize spices like cayenne pepper or paprika. It gets on their paws. They're always constantly grooming themselves. It's very irritating to the animal. They can associate that with the main entry point or den or burrow that they've created and evict them for the long term. Now, every animal is different. Every animal has its own temperament. Give these options a try for at least a week. Nothing is guaranteed, but it's a great starting point before proceeding further. Trapping and relocation, the obvious next step for any homeowner. But some things to be aware of and to consider, especially when it comes to raccoons or any wild animal, is the time of year when they have their young. From February through to July, they may have young that are dependent on the mother in order to survive. Multiple animals may be present or utilizing the denning site. It's best to trap one at a time. If you set multiple traps, you may have trap-shy animals who will avoid the trap if they see another animal inside the trap when it was originally captured. Setting one at a time is the best removal method. Now, be aware, you may capture non-target species. You're trying to trap a raccoon. However, a nuisance skunk burrows into the area, into the neighborhood, smells the bait inside, and captures that animal. There's always a possibility they are capturing non-targeted species or animals that may not be denning in that area in question. In order to rule out multiple animals, here's a pro tip that I use. Ball up some newspaper, place it in the burrow. This is easy enough for an animal to push or pull it away where they're utilizing that site. If the paper is moved, you know you still have activity and trapping should continue. Also have a plan before you go. You've trapped an animal, what next? Know your local laws or regulations. There are relocation limits to trapping any nuisance wildlife. If you have a skunk, is the trap covered? Do you have an open back pickup truck to relocate this animal in case the animal sprays? If you don't, you can always call the pros at Pest Protection Plus to help you out. And just to add, it's also inhumane to take any mother away from any dependent young in the burrow itself. You want to make sure, do our due diligence. Take a look, even listen. You may hear light whimpering or crying with other animals present inside. If you put the newspaper in the burrow and there's no movement for 7 to 10 days, we know we can now seal this area off for good. Now, when it comes to nuisance burrowing animals, what is the gold standard and what do we do here at Pest Protection Plus? Well, it's actually a service that we call trenching. So we'll dig down into the soil all around the perimeter of the structure in question. We'll isolate the main entry or burrow and utilize galvanized steel mesh. Actually goes down into the soil facing the structure and across as well. So if an animal comes along the surface, tries to dig at the surface or even down, we have that long-term solution in place. Over the main entry point, we'll be installing a one-way door. Now, why is this the gold standard? It's the most humane and effective way to isolate and remove and evict these animals for good. Whether there's one or multiple animals, they can all utilize a door being excluded from that area. If it's in or around baby season for any type of animal, again, we will do our due diligence. Take a look around, inspect the burrow, use tools like a snake camera, or even listen for any crying or whimpering. If there's any young, they must be removed by hand. We'll relocate them from underneath the den. So when the mother comes out through the one-way door, she has the ability to relocate these animals one at a time. Now, pregnant animals, nuisance animals, will have multiple den sites, plan A, B, and C. Unfortunately, if you're noticing that animal coming and going from that burrow, you are plan A. They've isolated this area, you're the den, the main den where they want to have their young or may have already had them inside. Now, if you're dealing with an area where we can't shovel out the material, trench the area to install the wildlife-proof mesh, Tony's tip number 1, use some heavy, solid objects. Large boulders, river rocks, patio stones, or even large timber to prevent these burrowing animals from digging underneath your deck or shed or any shelter on your property. Tip number 2, you can utilize products that you can buy online called Dig Defense. Easy to use, save your landscape, just place these products along the perimeter, hammer them right into place where you know these animals can't dig or burrow right through this material either. Now that's the full playbook, the blueprint for dealing with nuisance burrowing wildlife on your property. From DIY options to the gold standard. If you're in the greater Toronto area dealing with nuisance wildlife and you want it done right the first time, the professional way, the gold standard way, call the pros here at Pest Protection Plus. If you want to give this a try on your own, check the timestamps below for this guide to help aid you in your process. Don't forget to subscribe for more wildlife tips. I'm Trapper Tony and we'll catch you on the next one.